Hey salty sailors and catamaran enthusiasts, my name is Peter Rollo and welcome to the Catamaran Mentor, the definitive YouTube channel to help you locate, buy, upgrade, refit and generally live and sail on your dream catamaran. So in this video we're going to be reviewing a 2013 Leopard 48 4-cabin ex-crew charter that's available for purchase in Florida. And remember, this is just not any broker sales pitch because we're not brokers. I'm going to be detailing the pros and cons of the equipment on board, walking you through the layout of the broker's video, and generally telling you all about Leopard 48s from a basis of looking at this listing. It's a very unique service because we're not brokers, we're paid for by our Patreons, our private mentoring sessions that you can book. So there's no conflicts of interest. We're never paid for by the sellers. So let's jump into it and look at this 2013 Leopard 48 today. It's listed by Jordan Yacht and Ship Co. You're very welcome to contact them directly, or if you want unbiased advice for you as the purchaser from somebody who lives on Leopard 48 for the last 5 years, get in contact with me today. But let's get into it.
Marietta is a 2013 Leopard 48.
So I'll jump in straight away here. It's got a very lovely bowsprit set up on it, and that's for flying the Code 0. I don't have a Code 0 on my Leopard 48, so this is a nice bit of kit to have added. When you're a purchaser and you look at this, you kind of think, oh yeah, that's all right, that's had that added. But if you want to install something like that on a boat that hasn't got one, you've got to think how big, who can do it, what sizes, who's done it before. It's a 6-month project just to think about it and get the boat to a location. And this boat is full of upgrades that are well thought out and added to the boat that you cannot imagine how much time it would take if you brought an ex-charter beer one and then went through this process to upgrade it. I've been upgrading mine for 5 years now, and I've still got 2 to 3 years ago before I reckon she's really done. But let's carry on.
With 4 staterooms and a crew cabin. Up on the bow, to starboard, we have 2 water tanks and a storage compartment.
So I'll just jump back here. There's 2 water tanks in here. He's already put the water level sensor on there. That is just a project. I've done lots to my Leopard 48, but that's a project I haven't got to yet. So you've got the water tank sensors here, and I throw all my spare lines in here and a couple of containers on top, but this has got a nice bar set up to tidy up your lines around there. Great setup.
Have 2 water tanks and a storage compartment. The windlass is in the center, and the 9.6 kW.
Now back to the windlass. Leopard 48 has an issue where the windlass isn't mounted properly. You've either got to put a backing plate on it, which I did, or it's going to pull out of the holes in the winch, or you've got to fiberglass it up and strengthen it. This has had that done.
The 9.6 kW diesel generator and the 3rd water tank is to port.
Here's the 3rd water tank. I can see that my 48 had one of these in it at one stage, but I just don't think that's needed. That's left over from the old charter boat history, and when it wouldn't have a water maker on it and it would just return to base. So I'd remove that and use that as extra storage, but hey, it is there at the moment. And here is a better installed system for the generator blowing blower fan off to the side, which is much better than the general factory setup.
There's a separate deck access entrance for the crew cabin. The forward cockpit has great seating, 2 fold-up tables, and additional storage.
So here you can clearly see that the upholstery was upgraded recently, and that is an expensive job. Down here on the Leopard 48, there is a cockpit drain in there, and that needs fiberglassing up. I'm not sure if that's been strengthened on this one or not yet. That's a good question. But generally this is a lovely seating area. You've got the front door there which provides great ventilation, and it's nice to escape the other passengers and sit out here and have a sundowner, a cocktail. It's just a very lovable space that all Leopard owners with the forward cockpit really, really love. A few years back it was worried that what would happen if the sea would get in here I just believe, I've never seen the sea even get close to getting in here. In my travels right across the Pacific, it would drain quickly, and the boat is big enough to handle the weight of water in there anyway.
There's a watertight door that gives you an entrance to the salon. Marietta features a very large aft deck area. There are two 54 horsepower Yanmar diesel engines with SD50 sail drives, 175 amp high output Balmar alternators, Raycor fuel filters, and 4-bladed max props.
So these engine bays are looking very clean. I've strengthened my rudder because I don't like the factory system there, but you can ask me more about that if you book private mentoring. Here is a necessary upgrade on the right hand side of the screen that stops the hydrolock water getting into the engines. I don't know why Leopard didn't put that on to start with. It only takes an hour or two each engine for a couple of $100 each side and can save you wrecking the engine. If you see SV La Vagabond on their new Trimaran, they just wrecked their engine under warranty because this system wasn't installed.
There's a 2023 Highfield Hypalon 380 inflatable dinghy.
So I really like a non-center console inflatable dinghy. I'm always filling mine up with rubbish or groceries or people. And so it's really nice to see that this hasn't got a center console. I think a center console is for super yachts or maybe weekend cruises. If you're a liveaboard, you just need your dinghy to be your station wagon with gear and rubbish and people. A 25 horsepower is a really nice size. I have a 20, and that is a great near new tender all ready to go for you. No problems there.
Hypalon 380 inflatable dinghy with a 25 horsepower electric start Yamaha outboard motor.
So you see how smoothly this lid has come up for the storage area there? I haven't got a gas strut in mine, and that storage lid is a pain in the butt. So it's just another example of how thought out this boat is and how nicely upgraded she has been.
There's a propane locker with 2 tanks. There are 4 Lithionics lithium batteries for a total of 1,260 amp hours. There's 2,500 watts of solar with 6 MPPT controllers.
So if we jump back to the solar, 2,500 watts of solar is about when it starts getting good to live aboard a cruising boat. It starts to make the experience more house-like. It runs your water maker, it provides you redundancy if your generator breaks, and you can have electric galleys, boil your own jug, toaster. It just really takes it from camping or living on a boat to being in comfort in remote locations. My vessel has 4,500 watts of solar, but it's at 2,500 watts in solar upwards where it really starts getting good. Below that, on a boat this big, and you'll be reliant on the generator.
There's an additional deck refrigerator. The 3-panel sliding door leads to the elegant salon. The spacious salon is finished in rich cherry wood.
Mine is finished in rich cherry as well because I own hull number 1. There is a lighter ash oak interior, I think they call it, and that looks more modern than your interior, but I've spent a lot of time, and when I was shopping I would have brought the ash lighter interior, but hey, I happened to find a good deal with the oak in it. But over time I've really come to like the traditional, more homely feel of the cherry dark coloured interior compared to the light ash interior, which I think it starts to feel a little bit IKEA-ish and plastic, the boat, instead of a solid old capable sailing ship sort of feel. But hey, I would buy either. It depends on all the other factors: price, location, fit out. Not a final decision maker at all.
There are 3 reverse cycle air conditioning units. There is also a 60-gallon per hour water maker. There's a dual voltage freezer refrigerator, access to the AC.
This freezer refrigerator has been upgraded. They come with a Vitrifico drawer in them that rusts out and just falls to bits within, so mine was wrecked really within 7 years old when I purchased mine. and I've upgraded this to an isotherm drawer fridge, but this is the isotherm Cruise 200 with a freezer there and a fridge there. Boom, it's already done. And if that isn't upgraded on a Leopard 48, you're going to be doing that really soon after purchase. So good, tick, it's done.
Access to the AC and DC electrical panel.
I've put a dishwasher into this location here, a Fisher & Paykel dish drawer. Really love it. And we just have a rubbish bin out the back and a small rubbish bin here and a slider rubbish bin here. We actually reskinned all our kitchen fit out for our dishwasher upgrade and electric galley upgrades there.
Trash bin.
Nice, the sink tap has been changed. That's nice and modern.
Dual stainless steel sinks. Additional storage under the cabin sole. There's great locker and storage.
There's something to say here. We've got one of these Breville style ovens with our electrical upgrade, but I've installed it on a bench behind here. This could run too hot. People are getting away with it, but that's a little bit borderline in my view. That's where the old gas oven was. I turned this into drawers.
Storage space. The cooktop.
This cooktop's really cool because it's a mix of electric and gas. I just changed mine to electric induction, but if it's been rainy and cloudy for a couple of days, good to switch back to gas, because living off grid is using different forms of generation. Solar, wind if you have it, generators, etc, etc. Gas all makes up for your energy needs in different conditions. So this is quite a cool cooktop. Oh, and before we start, there's the bench there. I did a bit more of a substantial bench upgrade, but that's really needed and is a real game changer to the space. Otherwise, this galley just does not have a lot of space for a family.
Both induction and propane. There's a forward-facing nav station with auto.
This nav station setup with this big screen is really cool. However, that big screen is not touch control, and you control it from remote control from the helm. So that's a really cool display, but it would be uber cool if that was a touch screen like your phone, but it isn't. So just note that. It'd be easy to be fooled by that at a glance.
Autopilot controls. The starboard hall features 2 double staterooms. There is a large head with a stall shower. The other starboard head has been converted into a storage locker.
This conversion to storage is great. I just can't see, apart from when you're chartering and selling en-suites to each different couple on board, why does a boat need 3 showers and 3 toilets on board? So we haven't done this shelving yet, but we just filled it up with boxes and it's all a sort of bit of a jumbled mess. So this has already got the shelving added to it. But as the broker is soon to say, it can be removed if you want to use it more like a charter format. And to the right here is where they've put the washing machine. Mine's an owner's version, so my washing machine's in a different spot, but
with a laundry center, it can be easily converted back to a head with shower. The port hall features 2 double staterooms. There are shelves and a hanging locker in each stateroom. There is a head with a stall shower.
On some models, I'm not sure on this one yet, on some models through that door there's another bed.
There are pull-out drawers under each of the double stateroom berths. Again, additional storage has been created by converting one of the heads.
So let's stop it here and have a chat about this rear cockpit area. This is a beautifully big area. There's a huge outdoor table here. However, this outdoor table is a little bit too big and it jams your legs up against the seats when you try to walk around it. So at some stage I'm going to have mine cut down and replaced as a wooden table that folds out more and then folds up, so it's more convivial to go and use these huge seating areas around here. I can also speak to the helm, and I think this is the best layout helm on most catamarans. It's high up here so you can see the coral. You're fully protected. We never really get sunburnt. We don't get chaffed lips. It's very gentle personally sailing around the world with a Leopard 48. You can see they've put a solar panel on the roof of this helm location, and there's lots of room for more solar to be added on this rooftop here as well. The sail bag looks to be in good condition. And it's just an all-round great area. You can see they've put white coverings on the decks. That's probably to hide the fact the hatch lids are getting crazy cracked. Mine are all crazy cracked, but it doesn't matter, they work well. It's called having an aging catamaran.
This again can be converted back to a head with a shower. Marietta is extensively equipped, and a personal inspection is highly recommended. Please contact Jordan Yachts for the extensive equipment list and to arrange for a personal inspection.
So that was quite a short walkthrough video from the broker. There could be a lot more content covered on all the upgrades, which I'll get to in a minute. There's also a few negatives that a buyer would need to be aware of for looking at this particular Leopard 48. But hang on, I've lived and sailed on a Leopard 48 for the last 5 years. We've brought her in Tahiti, we've sailed her all the way to across the Pacific to New Zealand, Fiji, Tonga, Vanuatu, Australia, and now we're in Sorong, West Papua, Indonesia. So I might as well tell you a bit about what it's like to live and sail on a Leopard 48. So the Leopard 48 is a really good size. She's not quite super yacht big or super yacht expensive, yet she really is quite a big boat. She's much larger than the Leopard 46. 5 years ago when I was being trained how to sail her, the training captain went, wow, she goes 9 or 10 knots, really easy. Leopard 46 would be jumping all over the place at this speed because he did a lot of charter work on 46s and it was his first time on a 48. So it's a great option for a family of 4 or 5 or a couple that just like space. The downside is it's quite a bit of cleaning. Dockage is getting a little bit expensive for the size. When you're anti-fouling the hull, there's extra paint and extra sanding, so it all just starts to add up. But yes, she's definitely a lot smaller than, say, sailing Zatara. She definitely doesn't come with super yacht expenses. And when you're in an anchorage, though, she's generally the biggest cruising boat in the anchorage. So I was in Tahiti Marina, and it was only really the super yachts, out of all the boats stopping there and travelling around the world, it was only really the super yachts that are a bigger boat. When she's hauled out of the water on the hard, you really see how big she is once you have a look below the waterline as well. With 48 feet, you're starting to get some decent length of waterline, which gives it quite good sailability. So even though you could describe this as a condo catamaran with lots of accommodation and space, you're actually starting to get a decent amount of performance and space because of the water length. Upwind, she starts to sail from about 10 knots apparent. Downwind, with an asymmetric spinnaker out, which is such a fun sail to fly, you can sail it down to as little as 5 knots apparent wind. Upwind, with good sails and skills, hard going upwind, you can probably get about 4 nautical miles made good towards your destination, but I avoid sailing upwind like a plague. I'd probably generally wait till there was no wind and then motor direct, or wait till there was wind on the beam or from my 160 before I departed for the passage. Generally, she'll sail at about half the wind speed. So if you've got 12 knots, you're probably getting 6 knots speed out of a 15 or 16. You can start getting 8s or 9s or 10s. I had a really good sail from New Zealand to Fiji. with about 12 to 18 knots on the beam. I could choose whatever speed I want. I'd slow down at night to give the toddler a bath and then speed up again. And just with me and Yogi and a 2-year-old on board, we managed to go from New Zealand to Fiji in 7 days to the hour, which is a very respectable pace. And when it's very lumpy, like 3.5 meter confused seas, she's just so big and beamy and quite heavy, so she just sort of ambles for it. You slow it down. Yeah, it's not your favourite day, but that's how I describe it. And even a famous boat builder who's a friend of mine brought a Leopard 48 after seeing mine, and he sailed it from Panama back to New Zealand, and he was very impressed with the way she handled when it gets sloppy as well. So design-wise, the front door is great. Even going back 5 years to my test sail when I was purchasing Coco, and the airflow through that front door when you're out there in a hot tropical climate is just fantastic, and it's just such a good option. Then you can sit out there and have breakfast. The helm space is great, as I talked about before in the video. It's easy maintenance because there's a lot of room in the engine rooms, and generally most access ways have a lot of space and just area around it that you can get in, you can do your maintenance in. The rear cabins are queen size beds, and generally she's got a nice strong hull. There is a few bulkheads that need to be strengthened from time to time, but compared to Colin on Parlay Revival's Lagoon 450, the bulkheads are annoying to do on a Leopard 48, but you get access to them and you don't have to cut the whole boat to bits like Parday did. There's a few other Leopard 48 issues, which if you book my private mentoring, I can take you through those. But overall, big, spacious, relatively affordable boat with some sailing ability is why the Leopard 48 is so popular. From base spec to charter spec, from base charter to safe, comfortable cruising around the world for a family, there is a lot of upgrades needed, from autopilots, electrical, safety additions, comfort additions to make it work better. So you probably, if you were looking at a base charter Leopard in sort of scraggy condition, not looked after, maybe 400 to 450,000, you could easily spend 100 to 150,000 to get it up to liveaboard, comfortable cruising, safe condition with all those upgrades mentioned. Plus, that's all your time to sort out those upgrades, a year or two. So a lot of buyers will overpay for a boat that's not very good and not appreciate a boat with all the upgrades done. So let's go through some of the negatives of this Muriata listing as an option, and then we'll loop back and talk about some of the upgrades to finish on a nice positive matter. I'm pretty sure when I looked at this boat before, the rigging hasn't been upgraded. So the standing rigging is over 10 years old, and maybe if you're a coastal holiday weekend cruiser, your insurance might accept that, but if you're crossing oceans, the rigging needs to be changed. The engine hours. When I looked at the charter history, I don't think the engines have done 4,800 hours. I think they've done a lot more hours. And that's because when I looked at the charter boat history, I saw the hours jumping up a lot quicker. And if you extrapolate those hours out, I think it probably would have been at 4,800 hours around 2015, 16 or 17-ish, somewhere around there. So I don't believe the engine hours. The generator hours are also high. This is something brokers leave out of their adverts. They'll leave the negative information out so they can sell it to you first. The generator hours are 9,000 hours. That generator could break at any time. I did hear in the anchorage next door to me once a Lagoon 440 couple which had to work for another year and not go cruising because their generator just broke. At 9,000 hours, this generator could break at any stage. So there's 3 decent potential areas of concern on this listing. So if you've got a lot of money, you've sold some property, you're keen to go cruising in comfort and style, this one's got lots of upgrades, so it's a compelling option. I would probably just slide a set of new engines in there and then just have that comfort and the knowledge, and nothing beats new engines. If I had new engines, I'd get in there and cuddle them every night almost. So I'm a real fan of new engines. The generator hours, hey, that'll go for a few more years, fingers crossed, but could break at any stage. So maybe you replace that in the future with a smaller generator. or the same generator. Now the rigging, I would probably do the rigging in your first year of ownership. Or like I said, if you've just sold property, if you did all those things to this listing with the other upgrades done, I think you'd have one of the best Leopard 48s on the market or in the world. So let's talk upgrades. And there are just so many upgrades on this hull. Big upgrades, small upgrades, little tweaks. It's not funny, and we would see that if we do a video survey walkthrough before you fly to view the boat or as part of preparing to put in an offer in. But let's talk about the big chunky ones. The Belmar alternator upgrades. That is a fantastic amount of power when you're motoring around, or great redundancy if you had a problem with your generator. And that just gives you all that living ability on your boat. So you've got the solar upgrades on the arch, you've got the generator, you've got the big alternators, you've got the lithium batteries, which is 1200 amp hours. I've got 800 amp hours, and that is sufficient. We've got electric, water maker runs on it, ovens, dishwashers, etc. all runs on our 800 amp hours, and this listing's got 1200 amp hours. So there's heaps of power upgrades. And then that gives you all your comfort. There's been sailing upgrades done. The folded props can add half a knot to a knot speed to a Leopard 48. And hey, that doesn't sound huge, but you do that over 24 hours. You do 5.5 knots over 24 hours, means every 24 hours you've gone about 12 miles further, and it's say 6 or 7 knots. That's equivalent to save you 2 hours of sailing every 24 hours. And once you start doing longer than 4 or 5 day passages, say 7, 8, 9, 10 day passages, that is going to give you you're going to start arriving a day earlier. So that's how that works out.
And going through attack, you have to bear off to gain speed again. With the max prop, the drag is reduced, so you maintain your speed much better. So going through attack, you'll exit with a much higher line and greater boat speed. Then
the Code Zero on the bowsprit, I don't have that. And a Code Zero is a real nice sail that fills in the gap between the Genoa and an asymmetric spinnaker. I can't remember. A question is, does this also have an asymmetric spinnaker with it? If it doesn't, it should have as well, and are easy to get. So you've got the sailing upgrades, you've got the power upgrades, and then you've got like the refrigeration. It's got the extra 95 litre fridge out the back by the saloon table. So it's got 3 fridges. That's exactly what I've done as well. Lots of refitting and bits and pieces. It's had the electronics done compared to when it was new, the navigation, the radar, the chart plotters, etc. So it's just got fantastic amount of upgrades. So the interesting thing is, when I was helping a previous buyer consider this vessel and they missed out to this buyer, was I convinced myself that this hull was worth around mid 500s. But this buyer come in on top and brought for higher 500s, and my buyer at the time was around mid 500s. Now they've owned it for 6 months. I've heard that they've spent some more money on it, upgrading it for safety, and for their reasons it's for sale for mid 500s. So I think it's a compelling option. You could stagger the rigging, an engine or a generator, or you could try your luck. The engines and generator might go for many years. It's just at that stage where I feel I've got to mention it. So there we have it. Now I've got further information on a spreadsheet, and if you subscribe at catamaranmentor.com to my website, I will send you a spreadsheet which has got all my reviewed catamarans. I only make a video out of a few, but there's more catamarans going on there each week. I have my real opinion like you've seen on this video, not just a sales pitch. And for a limited time, that's free for people to get hold of. So that's at Catamaran Mentor. I think you can clearly see the difference in approach from using me at Catamaran Mentor than just being sold to by a broker. So let's get talking about your dream catamaran today. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next episode.